Alright, hello and welcome to the video. The video is titled, You is What Matters to You, and I'm kind of extending on a video from a previous video where the idea was the only way to get someone to do something was to make them want to do that thing. And then in this video, I'm talking about how to make someone want to do something and some of the mindsets and ways to go about doing that. So the first question that I want to raise, which I have right here, is why do we bait fish? You know, like when we're fishing, why do we put worms on the hook instead of money? Because if you think about you or I, how many times have you bent down to pick a dollar when you've seen a dollar on the floor versus bending down to pick up a worm? Obviously, the money is a more effective bait for someone like you or I. But then people who fish, they understand that for whatever reason, a fish prefers a worm rather than money. So this idea that what you want doesn't matter. You should be trying to bait with what the other person wants or what the other thing you're trying to bait is. So this idea of thinking in the other person's perspective, because when dealing with other people, oftentimes what you want doesn't matter. It's what they want that really drives what you should be doing and how the interaction goes. So the idea is that a paper cut means more to someone than a person than a famine across the globe. Basically, the things that happen to us are the most important things to us. Because if you get cut, all you're worried about is your paper cut. You don't care as much about what's going on other sides of the world or things like that. We don't work that way. People care about themselves, and that's the way they function. And what is really interesting about that is that because everyone is interested in what they want, the only way to get someone to do something is by thinking of what they want and thinking of how you are going to give that to them in exchange for them doing something, or how to make the thing that you want them to do worth their time. So basically what you do is, if this is you put yourself in their mindset and you go, how is my proposal or my idea that I want them to do beneficial as well to them? Or if it's not, how do I make it beneficial to them where it's still beneficial to me? And these are called win-win scenarios. And an example of it from the How to Win Friends and Influence People book that this is covering the 3rd chapter of is there's a shipping company, and the shipping company oftentimes gets shipments late in the afternoon. And because everyone is shipping late in the afternoon, they get congested and some of the shipments have to get delayed until the next day. So they sent out a message to one of their companies and they say, look, we will happily serve you whenever you send us stuff, but if you are able to bring your stuff in the morning, we're gonna be able to guarantee better shipments, and you're gonna be able to get your stuff earlier in the day and it's not gonna get delayed. And that's something that it benefits the shipping company because they don't get as congested late in the day, but it also benefits the people that are trying to get something shipped because it's earlier in the day and they get better service. So that's an example of something that's win-win, and they didn't go and say, hey, we're having trouble, can you do this earlier in the day? They said, no, you're gonna get better service if you do this thing and do it earlier. So they talked from the perspective of what the other person wants. So the good question to ask yourself, how is my proposal beneficial to them, or how are you gonna make it beneficial to them? And by doing that and showing them that this is a thing that's gonna benefit them, you're gonna make them wanna do it, and you aren't even gonna have to argue or tell them what to do, because they're just gonna realize it's something that's good and they're gonna do it. But one important point is that don't argue, because even if at yelling someone you convince them that something is beneficial for them, they're not gonna wanna cooperate with you no matter how good your argument is, because their pride is not gonna let them. So that's a general idea, that you have to do it in a smooth way where you're not just yelling at them and saying, you better do this, because if you don't, you're gonna end up screwed and I'm gonna beat you up and blah, blah, blah. It's just not effective. And that goes along with this idea here that no one wants to feel sold or told what to do. So what I like to do is guide someone to the idea that you already have. So for example, let's say you're working in a project and you really want to use one sort of steering system, but then someone else, maybe their thoughts are leading towards another one. You can kind of try to direct their thoughts by, oh, but what about this? What would you do in that case? And then maybe they go over here and you say, well, that's an interesting idea. How would we connect, the electricity to that? Or you're just trying to lead them, steer them in a way that they're gonna get to whatever your original idea was. And then once they get to that idea, you praise them for a good idea. You say, wow, that's a really good idea. I think we should do that. And then what that does is when people think that they're the ones that came up with something, they're a lot more likely to be backing it. And it makes it a whole lot easier to convince someone to do something if they think it was their idea. And that goes along with this idea of wanting to feel like, you don't want to feel like you're told what to do. If you start out and instantly say, this is my idea, I think we should do it because of this, this, and this, they're gonna say, well, this is my idea, I'm over here, I like this one more. So it's by slowly bringing them over here without them knowing that that's what you want, in a way that really helps coax them into doing what you want to do. But the idea isn't just to trick people or manipulate them into doing what you want to do, but find win-win scenarios where you and the person can both be mutually benefited, and strive to have as many of those going on as possible. So I hope I properly explained this idea to you and you can apply it in your lives in some way, and I hope you enjoyed. So thanks for watching.